name with a Z. Welcome to Joy on Paper Live, a program for writers and those who dream of writing, and for everyone who wants to know the story behind the book. And today I have a very special guest, Monique Danielle, and she's got a very fancy title, Educational Content Curator for Atticus. If you haven't seen that little dog, that's Atticus. And I am so happy to welcome you to Joy on Paper, Monique.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and chat with you and your listeners.
Finally, we can get to talk, and of course, you have a fancy title, but I like to think of you just as the Atticus guru. I know we could just tap you on the shoulder at 3 o'clock in the morning, ask you any question, and immediately you could start espousing all the details of Atticus, correct?
Correct. Yes, I do talk about Atticus quite a lot. You can ask me pretty much anything. And if I don't have an answer, it's usually not because I don't know it, but because maybe it's not available yet. So,
But you are amazing. I have spent many hours watching your videos because you have wonderful explanations for everything that is in Atticus. For people who don't know, Atticus is really such a wonderful writing platform. So many people, of course, you're writing your book and you're doing it in Word and you're thinking, oh, this is fine, I'm writing it. And then you get to the end and you say, oh my gosh, how am I going to get this organized? I've written some very long books in Word and it was a mess at the end. But Atticus gets you organized from day one. And it's so simple. Actually, when I first saw the program, I will admit, I said, oh, it's too simple for me. I don't know why. Well, how could anything like this be so simple? But now I've been talking a lot about people who are doing the National Novel Writing Month, NaNoWriMo. And I thought Atticus plus National Novel Writing Month, two great ideas can come together. Have you ever done NaNoWriMo?
I have tried it in the past. I will say I've never won NaNoWriMo specifically, but it's a really great way to give yourself a deadline, which really helps me as a writer. So I think it's a really interesting concept.
It's a great concept. My goddaughter encouraged me to do NaNoWriMo. And I did it and I finished and I had to do it in 25 days because November I'm cooking for Thanksgiving. I've been doing the radio program for 9.5 years. And over the years, I kept saying to people, do it, you can do it. And quite a few of my listeners, they've done it. Not all of them have finished. And that's just writing 50,000 words, just writing 50. It's a lot of words. But the idea, the goal, you've learned some discipline. And discipline is an important thing. And that's one of the things that Atticus gives you. It gives you an insight. This is a main screen. When people get Atticus, this is the screen they're going to see. And on the one side, you just have chapters. It says chapter 1, chapter 2, and you put your titles of your chapter and it's going to show up, right?
Yes, absolutely. I love how you started by saying, oh, this might be too simple for me. It's like that old health advice where it's just drink more water and it can change your life. But that's so simple that nobody ever actually does it. Atticus is similar. It's very easy to use, and the goal is to be user friendly and intuitive, but hopefully not too simple that people don't think it's worthwhile. So, like you have on the screen here where it says chapter 8 in the center, you can update that to whatever your chapter title might be. And then in the body section, you just start writing and you can write your chapter. You'll see the toolbar along the top, which has most of the same options that you're probably familiar with, maybe some extras that are specific to formatting. So you can do your standard bold and italics, but you can also say add a picture or format a text message, which is becoming more popular in fiction these days as well, and do all sorts of stuff there. What I love about Atticus is that you have the option to format as you go if that helps you immerse yourself in the story better. Some authors like to see what it's going to look like and get a feel for how many pages are in a chapter. And Atticus will allow you to either look at it if you want to see how it looks formatted, or close that up and just focus on the words on the page and try to reduce all the bells and whistles. So you're just getting the words out, not distracting yourself too much. On this screen, you've also added some really nice labels to the right-hand sidebar there, and you can see the first one is editor, the text options there. When you open it up, it gives you options for how to format the writing editor. Now, this does not affect how your book is finally going to export, but if you like to have the words really big on the screen or perhaps really small on the screen, or if you like to, I know there's a fun kind of process out there where you can switch to Comic Sans, and that's supposed to be more efficient for the writing process, but you never want to actually publish using that font. So you have that option, or there's also dyslexic font. So if you are a dyslexic writer, you can change your writing editor to dyslexic friendly font to make the writing process easier for you. But again, it won't affect your final formatting. So you can do that separately. The next option in the toolbar, in the right-hand toolbar there, is to find and replace, an essential tool for authors everywhere, because you're going to get 30,000 words into your novel and decide to rename your main character. And so you can use the find and replace tool to do that, and fairly standard what you would find in a word processing program. I'm going to skip the next one just for a moment and go down to the bottom and talk about smart quotes. This only really comes in if you are writing right inside Atticus. It will default to straight quotation marks. So once you have your book completely written and you're ready to publish, you can click the smart quotes function and it will go through your book and apply and make sure that everything is converted to curly quotes. If you are importing a manuscript from Word, it will automatically import it using curly quotes, or smart quotes as they're called, but there's a function inside Atticus to make sure that everything is consistent that way. And then the exciting part for anybody who is trying to get into a writing habit and get their butt in their chairs, especially if you're trying to write a book or 50,000 words in a month, we have the goals feature.
Oh, I
And
love it. I love
I think you have some more
Yes.
screenshots there. So in this screenshot, you can see you have two options. You can set your goals for a book goal, which will help you reach your word count on schedule. And then the one that's showing here is a writing habit. So this is developed, this will go across all of your books in the Atticus account. So anytime you come into the program and start writing, that counts to your word count per day. And you can set this for yourself. You can choose what days you want to write that works according to your schedule. And this really just helps encourage you to create a writing habit, whether you're working on your main work in progress or whether you're free writing or creating a short story, whatever it is in your Atticus account, it just helps you get those words out of you and establish a writing habit and make sure that you reach that word count each day. And it will build up a calendar for you, let you know when you're on a hot streak or when you maybe have some catching up to do, but it's really motivating and helpful in creating that habit.
Definitely. It's even for me, I'm disciplined, but it's not every day that I need it, but there are days when my life is so busy. I like to have it. Then of course you get the word count.
Yes, so this is your book goal. And I'll just add with the writing habit, it's also really fun that the longer you establish the habit, more often than not, the more words you tend to write during a day. And that's also really inspiring and motivating for yourself so that you feel that, okay, I want to keep this going. It's like watching your bank account grow, it's watching your word count grow. It's really exciting and fun. So this one, the book goals, however, that's specific to the one book that you are working on where this is open. So you enter your total word count. So for example, if you want to write a total word count of an 85,000 word book, and then you put in your due date and you can again set the writing dates that you expect to write. And once you save it, Atticus will tell you how many words approximately you need to write per day, and it will keep you on track. If you meet your word count, it will say, hey, great job, you had a goal, you reached your goal today. If you get behind, it will tell you how much you're behind so that you can try and catch up, and all of these things specific to the very book you're working on. So again, super motivating, really helpful for just keeping on track and taking the big picture and breaking it down into manageable chunks that you can work with.
Exactly. It doesn't seem as daunting when you do it this way. You for me, when I had to do, I knew I was going to do 25 days, and I liked that, checking it off, seeing I was doing it, and I just went ahead and did it. Then, of course, we get to themes. One of the wonderful things, which I love about this, I especially like to print things out. I believe in printing things out. But for people who are writing, even, and I do it too now, if I'm writing in the morning and then in the afternoon I'm going somewhere, I have appointments, and I know I'm going to be sitting around in a waiting room or something, you can just turn it into an EPUB, and then, whoa, you can take it along with you wherever you're going.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can export at any point in this process. So if you export to ePUB, you can open it up on your phone and bring it with you, maybe do your proofreading on the go, or you can send it to a PDF and print it on your printer, like you said, do your editing there. And there are two schools of thoughts. It can be really motivating when you're writing, especially as newer authors. I find that when you have written 5,000 words, that's a big feat. It's great to write 5,000 words, but it doesn't mean much in your head if all you can see is little black letters on white background. So when you can preview it in this formatted EPUB format or the print view, it shows you that's a real product. There's real chapters and pages, and it takes a whole new level to your writing so that it feels more real and fleshed out, I find. Now, it's also something that you can turn on and off when you're writing, because there are some days when I don't want to look at that. It's just going to distract me, and I'm going to think about all the ways that I can design my book. And I just need to get this idea out on paper. So you can turn it on and off inside Atticus if you want to be looking at it, or if you want to export fully formatted versions, you can, or you don't have to. So it's really a comfort level for each individual writer.
I do think, as you said, it makes it real for people who aren't used to seeing their work on paper. Suddenly, you think, wow, I wrote that. Sometimes it just amazes you. It started off with a few sentences, and then after a little while, it grows. And you do feel Atticus is saying, "Attaboy, you're doing it, you're doing it." People need that kind of encouragement, and why I think using Atticus is wonderful. And in EPUB, you can bookmark pages where you need to go back and fix something. So that also helps you. We see little Atticus there underneath the chapter title. And it's just a reminder to people, although we're not going to show it, you can add photos, you can add so much to Atticus that for NaNoWriMo, people don't even think about it, just write. But all the possibilities are amazing, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Setting up your custom theme, like this section here, you can see along the left sidebar, there are some options for chapter heading, paragraph, typography, all of trim sizes, all of these kind of things. I tend to explain this as a multiple choice quiz where there are no wrong answers. So it's really easy and intuitive. You just click through the options and see what works with your book. And whether you want to add images, you can or you don't have to. And you can adjust all of the different elements so that when you're finished your book and you've gone through all of the editing, you have the power to now take it to publishing, and you don't have to worry about the middleman hiring out some expensive book formatter, because you can do it yourself in a matter of minutes and know that the formats are going to be exactly what you need and perfectly formatted for publishing. And as you've written your book in Atticus, it's done 90% of the work for you already. You just have to decide on the finishing touches at that point.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of it, really, for anybody who's going to be self publishing. It is such a joy to be able to add all the little extra things, the little decorative things, the chapter style, whatever, and to make all these changes. I think it's just so great. Now we're going to talk about doing chapters, and we on the first page I did chapter 1, chapter 2, but the beautiful thing about Atticus, and it's happened with me so many times, I'd be writing, and I'd get to a new chapter, and then I realized, oh, that really belongs up at the beginning. Then you have to do all that moving thing. I've made more mistakes in Word. I've lost things. I've accidentally destroyed things, wiped out entire chapters, and I don't know what I'm doing. And then here in Atticus, it's so easy. We have here a chapter near the bottom. We have a dreadful visitor. Well, what if you decide that you want to make that dreadful visitor prologue? You could just move it up there and it can become the prologue. You don't have to get nervous.
No copy and pasting either. You don't have to cut a chunk out and try and paste it where it belongs. Yeah, with Atticus, anything that you see in the left sidebar there is its own kind of chunk of information that you can drag and drop wherever you want it. So if you want to rearrange your chapters, you can go ahead and do that. And you can't see in this screenshot, but if you add a scene break and there's an icon for it in the toolbar, you can also write in scenes and you can drag and drop scenes either within a chapter or you can move them to a whole nother chapter as well and really just play with the content. So I'm personally very much a plotter. I plot every single element of my book, and I do this all in Atticus. So I'll start out with an idea of a chapter, and then I'll break it into different beats or scenes and have them each in their own scene. And then I do my outlining, and guaranteed I'm going to be moving almost everything at some point, but you can really easily drag and drop them around. And not everybody is like this, but I'm the kind of author that where I like to keep track of other things. So in my front matter as I'm writing, I'll also have a playlist where I put down the songs that I'm thinking about for each chapter. And at the end, I can have notes, or sometimes I create deleted scenes where I think this is a great idea, but it's not going to fit in my actual book. So I'll just drag and drop it to the end and maybe I'll work it in at some point. Maybe not, but it's there if I want it and I can delete it if I need to. And you can really just create all sorts of different types of pages if you need them. And if you don't need them, you just don't create them. It's really as easy as that.
Exactly. And it's also easy. At the very bottom, I have research notes so that I
Mhm.
can look at it and I don't have to go to another document when I'm going to turn it into ePUB. I take that off and but it's just so easy.
Yeah, we've really tried to make it as intuitive and user friendly as possible and put in just enough features so that authors can get the book that they want without adding a whole lot of extras. There are some phenomenal programs out there that you can do so many really cool things, but when it comes down to it, you don't really need to, and it just becomes not only window dressing, but maybe it starts to detract from what you need in your book for the reader experience and to help you get a novel written. So Atticus has really tried to make sure you have what you need without giving you things that you don't need as well, which keeps it streamlined and makes it very hard to do something wrong.
Exactly. The word streamline is very important because, as I said, when I first started, I thought, oh, this is too simple for me. And then I realized everything I needed is here. And it's so easy. I've been working on a 120,000 page book. And believe me, you don't want to do
Wow.
that in Word. I can't tell you how many things I have had to move and change. And this is so easy. At first, you think there's a long learning curve. There isn't.
Yeah, we've really tried to make it so that it feels like the programs you're already comfortable with. So if you can work with Word, you can really work with Atticus. And there are some little quirks that may be different that you have to figure out where something is. Or if you're importing a manuscript that you've already written in Word, there may be some tweaks that you need to make to that to make sure that it imports into Atticus efficiently. But if you're starting your book inside Atticus, it's really just you write and a book evolves.
It's beautiful. Bringing a Word document in, you do it. The chapter headlines are incorporated into the Atticus. It really lays it out nicely. There's some work you have to do, but still, it's great. For sci fi people, this is so great at world building because you have all these different worlds you're working with and you don't know like where you want to put them all the time, but if you have Atticus, you could just move these chapters around like crazy. It's just beautiful.
With that in mind, you can also create master pages in Atticus. So I know with a lot of sci-fi, maybe you have a world Bible that you've created in a separate book, or maybe it's a series. And if you create a master page that maybe is like a character profile of a certain alien species, you can bring that from book to book and just add it in, create it once, add it into your books, and use that as reference right while you're working with it. Or it was originally designed for things so that you can write your about author page. You write it once. That's something nobody wants to have to rewrite because it's a hassle to get it done one time to talk about yourself. Most of us authors are that's a big pain in the butt for us. So write it once, then add it to all of your books. But that can also be used for things like world building when you're going to be pulling the same information and making sure that it's consecutive for all of your books. You can keep that reminder with you in each book in the series or collection or whatever you're working with.
So, one last look here at this is your page where you're going to be writing. And as you said, you can just go and put it in ePUB, put it in print version, print it out, and check it out. Really, this is such a delightful program to work with. And if anyone has any problems, all they have to do is get one of Monique's many videos that she's done, and she explains everything so easily and nicely. And I loved your one on adding photos. That's great. So, everybody, Atticus is the best. It is really fantastic. And Monique is wonderful. Her videos are just fun. She explains things so nicely. Here, Atticus.io. And they can get it there, right?
They can. Actually, if they go to atticus.io/PatZ, PATZZI, we've got a special offer actually for your listeners. So if anyone registers for Atticus through that special URL, they'll also automatically be enrolled in a course that we have for indie authors, which helps from the stages of after the book is written, after it's formatted, what do you do with those final publish ready files? So it helps you go through the publishing process. There's some great marketing advice, some really helpful interviews with some of the other industry experts as well. And if you order through your link, they will automatically get that course.
Wow. And Dave Chesson are fantastic. The idea for Atticus I know was created to help authors and make their lives easier. And that's what Dave is doing with his Kindlepreneur and what you're doing. And I want to thank you, Monique, so much. It's just been a joy to talk to you. And I'll have you back. So again, Monique, Danielle, you are fantastic. And you are the Atticus guru. And you keep Atticus in line. By the way, let's mention the price. It's one time, right?
Yeah, the team behind Atticus, we're all authors. We know what it's like to be out there trying to self publish, and we want to make sure that you can keep as much of that profit in your pocket as possible. So, the cost of Atticus, whatever it is when you order it, is uh, going to be less than the cost of outsourcing a single copy to a professional book formatter to get it done
Exactly.
one time.
Exactly.
And you have lifetime access to it.
I don't remember the price I paid. I know I paid less than what's today. So it's whatever today's price is. But it's so reasonable. Atticus, compared to anything else, is so reasonable and it's jam packed. It's like super loaded with just great stuff. You can spend fortunes on some software and you don't get half of what you get in Atticus. I expected you to keep charging me every year. And then when I realized, no, it's lifetime, I thought Dave was a little crazy.
We get people writing in with that quite frequently, actually. Really? This is one time?
By the way, is he fun to work with?
Dave is excellent. He is a wonderful person to work with and really truly has author interests at heart. He's so dedicated to this industry.
Yeah,
It's
he really
wonderful.
does. He's
Mhm.
fantastic. And so I'm so that you came on Joy on Paper today. We're going to promote NaNoWriMo and we're going to promote Atticus all the time because I think it's just a terrific program. And all of you over there are great people. So thank you again. Monique, Danielle, go to atticus.io and /Patsy.
Yes.
Wow, I'm going to add that at the end of this video. Thank you so much. Thank you. And by the way, people, they make improvements, and when they make improvements, they are tested. Atticus really the best updates of any software program I've worked with.
Oh, that's so wonderful to hear. I'm glad you think so. And
Uh,
thank you again so much for having me. It's been a joy to be here with you.
okay, with that, Danielle, thank you very much. Bye bye now. Bye.
Bye.
Mama ain't around. Daddy is sleeping, and mama ain't around. We're gonna twist it, twist it, twist it, till we turn the house down.